Rural communities across Ontario and across Canada are encountering a variety of opportunities and a variety of challenges that are currently taking place. So we've got factors around aging populations in many rural communities. We see challenges related to outmigration of young people. I grew up in small-town Manitoba, and at the end of the day, when my parents pass away, all of the wealth that was generated from farming in southwestern Manitoba and from their places of employment, their entire wealth will leave the community where I grew up. Their entire wealth will come part to myself and part to my sister, and at the end of the day, that money comes to Guelph, and those assets go to Calgary, different counties here in southwestern Ontario. And if we look at their age dynamics, we could start to say that maybe within a 10-year window, there are some counties that are going to lose 20 or 30% of their wealth. But for other counties, they might be losing 60 or 70% of their wealth. And so understanding that helps us to figure out what sort of urgency do we have around the wealth transfers. Is this something that's going to happen today and tomorrow? Or is this something that we've got 20 or 30 years to figure out and to plan for? One of the great questions I've often asked people is, what would happen if your community didn't need any more money? They had all the money that they needed locally to do the things that they wanted to do, to support the initiatives that were their priorities, and to support the people that live there. It would be a wonderful scenario. And this is what community foundations can ultimately help build towards. An opportunity to put together a collective bank account for the community or a region that allows the region to have a source of local funding that can support and can build these initiatives that help to keep people in the communities, that help people to celebrate their heritage, their culture, as well as to deliver services. And this is the opportunity that's at the doorstep of every small community in Ontario at the moment. They all have the opportunity to gather the local wealth or parts of the local wealth and to utilize that collectively for the future of their community. We need to start to think about how much wealth is actually in our communities. And this isn't a strategy of collecting all of it. It's not about being greedy and trying to collect all the wealth in your community, but perhaps capturing maybe 1, 2, or even 5% of that wealth before it disappears outwards. And so people need to be thinking about where could they put their wealth. Are there opportunities such as community foundations, which are registered charities that can receive the funds and invest them into opportunities to create interest that then can be reinvested into your community? Are there people that are like-minded in your community that are having the same kind of a conversation at the same time? And how to connect to those people? The challenge, though, is that most people don't understand what community wealth is. Most people also may not understand what community foundations are. And so, for some places, they have wealth, they have a desire and a need, but they haven't connected the two pieces of the puzzle. And how community foundations can help collect that wealth, but also to use that wealth to support the future of those communities. And this is a huge potential, particularly given the aging communities. If we don't act soon, for some places maybe in the next 10 or 15 years, that opportunity to collect wealth disappears. And this is an opportunity to have that conversation and to start that conversation about wealth management. This is a workshop that is designed for community people. It's designed to talk about the future of their community, as well as provide some strategies that communities can utilize to look at the future of their communities. And so this is an opportunity for people to come out to the workshop to hear information about what community foundations are and how they've operated, but also to hear some really concrete examples of what some community foundations are doing here in Ontario, but also elsewhere across Canada and the United States, where we've seen some really innovative things taking place. These workshops are really focused on communities, and the topic really is, what kind of future do communities want to have in 20 or 50 years from now? And so people that should mark their calendar and come out would be people who sit on elected councils at the municipal or the county level. It should also include non-profit organizations that are operating in the community or providing services. I would encourage young people to come out to have a say on what they would like to see in their community. I would encourage new residents to the community, people who have recently moved in, to come and join the conversation, as well as anyone else that's interested in the future of your community. This is a workshop that will really focus around that dialogue of where do you want your community to be, and what sort of strategies might we be able to use to get there.